Good morning, and happy Halloween, or All Hallows Eve. I'd like to start, actually, by offering my gratitude to Rachel. If you're wondering why I'm looking up at the balcony, it's Rachel that flips the slides. She makes the PowerPoint and then she flips it. So my gratitude to Rachel for sharing her testimony and her call to ministry last Sunday. And I trust you know that this congregation is behind you 110%, and we're praying for your ongoing adventure. But what I wanted to actually share with the church was a story about a woman who was worshiping with us in the sanctuary last Sunday, a longtime member, but who currently resides in another province. She was visiting last Sunday and decided to come home to Knox for worship. After Rachel's testimony, we burst into spontaneous applause. Do you remember that? For Rachel, yes, but also for the God who has not abandoned the church, but who continues to call and equip men and women to the holy office of word and sacrament. This was an exciting celebration, one bursting with hope. And we all cheered and we all clapped. So after worship, this saint of the church, and okay, for the Protestants in the room, just so you know, a saint, you're going to hear it a lot today. A saint is someone who believes in God. Okay, we need to separate it from the Catholic idea of sainthood. The biblical, version is one who loves God. So after worship, this saint of the church came up to me and said, "Reverend, I have to tell you, my hands are hurting. I have arthritis and clapping aggravates them." So I kind of paused. And she said, "The truth is, I hadn't realized it until now, but I have had no cause to clap for 2 years. And so I had forgotten. And I was so happy to have a reason to clap today. My hands hurt, and I'm glad." Church, we have so many reasons to clap and shout and celebrate. We're coming out of the darkness. God is good. So thank you, Rachel. She's tearing up a little bit up there. You have a job to do, so pull it together. Okay? It's not going to work if you... Anyway. So a couple of quick announcements for you today. First off, a reminder that next Sunday we will be commemorating Remembrance Day in our worship service. So be sure to tune in to that or register ahead of time. Come on into the sanctuary for that. I say be sure to tune in because I believe it's also daylight savings time because we're still doing that. So be sure to adjust your clocks accordingly the night before, lest you arrive too early. Next Sunday is also the last day to submit nominations for ruling eldership, as well as for trustees. We have 10 elder positions we need to reactivate or ordain in time for our turnover in January. And we have 1 trustee position that needs to be filled by February, I believe. February, am I right? Yes. However, appointing an individual in the fall will mean that they will have time to shadow Heather before she retires from her long 10 years with the Memorial Trust, now called the Legacy Fund. So last Sunday, I briefly highlighted the role of a ruling elder, a person ordained by the congregation to lead the church, together with the rest of session and the moderator. This Sunday, I will give you the Coles Notes version on the role of a trustee of the Knox Legacy Fund. A trustee must be a confessing member of the congregation whose roles and responsibilities include being a signatory on behalf of the congregation. The mandate of trustees appointed to the work of Knox Legacy Fund is to hold the real property of Knox Oakville, manage the fund as a repository for gifts, legacy gifts, and other assets received by Knox Oakville, and build the legacy fund by creating awareness and provide investment options for the congregants. Trustees serve a 3-year term, which can be renewed for an additional 3 years. And if you want more information about that, you can certainly speak to Heather, because she's the one rotating off. As we head into 2022, please prayerfully consider and take seriously your responsibility and privileges as members of this church to nominate individuals for both eldership and for the position of trustee. Nomination forms are available, as I said last week, at both entrances to the sanctuary. I've posted one on the Facebook group, but a nomination form is not a formal document. You can just email me or call me. Just don't mention it in passing, because I have a brain like a sieve. So just write it down and get it to me so that I can get it presented to the session at their next meeting. I'd like to end the announcements with a pastoral announcement, and this has been weighing on my heart. We have all been exceedingly grateful to the team of people who have carried us through the shared trauma of the last 2 years. When things shut down suddenly in March of 2020, it was the tech fellas, it was Joe and Gary, along with Jane and Connie and I, who sort of pieced together a safe way to keep going with worship those first few weeks while everyone got their bearings. Very soon after that, the rest of the ministry team, so Monica and Lynn and Brian, reinvented their roles to meet the sudden and new needs of worship and ministry in a way that was safe for everyone. Heading into the spring and summer of 2020, when we realized it was going to take more than 2 weeks to flatten the curve, more people cautiously began to join the small team of tireless workers. And throughout all of this, of course, we had the lower level ripped out and renovated, if you remember. We had to figure out not only how to live stream worship services, but also how to do funerals and weddings, how to offer grief share and vacation Bible school and music and Bible studies. The list is endless. And through it all, we knew that you were there cheering us on, gratitude pouring into us through cards and letters and phone calls and emails. And there were days when your prayers were the things keeping us going. 83 weeks later, we reopened the sanctuary. After months of prayerful discernment and tears and problem solving, here we are now, church, hybrid, fully online, fully in person. And there's a degree of release and relief that we have made it here. Praise be to God. But church, we're tired. My team of 15 tireless saints who have been doing this for 2 years, some of them week in and week out, we're burning out. And so my plea to you is this: if you are contemplating coming back to support the ministry and mission of this church, please do not hesitate. We need fresh energy and fresh blood. We need time as individuals to recalibrate, to grieve and celebrate the past 2 years. And we need to pass the torch, even briefly, so that we can recover and heal. We need people who can think creatively, renewed and refreshed, because we have been in survival mode, planning and problem solving in 2-week chunks through this whole pandemic. Now is the time that I'm asking you as your minister to consider stepping up to the plate to help, to carry the load, to problem solve and imagine and vision and dream. Moses and his elders led the people through the Red Sea and then around the desert for 40 years, but then there was a transition of energy and power to Joshua and his leadership team as they went into the Promised Land. No, I'm not secretly telling you my call to ministry at Knox is over. No, not at all. I'm not going anywhere. Neither is the ministry team or the volunteers. Right, people? We're just tired. And we'd love your help in carrying the load as we move into this new way of being the church in the world. If you've been sitting on the fence, consider this your call to action. Thank you. Lynn.